Welcome back to the Rice Report, everybody. Eric Rice here, as always. Thank you so much for watching all these videos. A lot of time being put in here. This is a free operation, no ads, no nothing. Feel free to share this stuff. We just want to spark great conversations around the world, get information out to you, whether it's information I agree with or I don't. I want to have people have a platform where they can have an open discussion that's done in a calm and professional manner. Whether we argue or we agree, I think it's important to get information out there, and nothing seems to be more informative and more prevalent in the world today than the latest release of the Epstein files, which has a lot of stuff in it. And I'm very blessed today to have Nick Bryant, who's been all over these stories really since Franklin, and on through the Epstein files, and he's been one of the leading advocates to get these files released. So, Nick, I'm just so happy to have you on here today. Thank you for taking the time, and I really just want to open this forum up to you and tell us what you've discovered. And I'm going to ask you a few questions I've just had bottled up for about a week now for this interview.
It's good to be with you, Eric. There's a lot of stuff that came out for sure. And I've been going through it, and other people have been going through it. It's a lot of it is horrific. I've come across this type of horror before, writing the Franklin scandal and also being involved in the anti-trafficking movement. But I wondered how much they were going to release. I kind of had an intuition. What we've seen prior to the release of those last documents is Epstein light. But I felt that there was a darker side to Epstein, a much darker side, because people that traffic humans, they're vicious psychopaths. I mean, especially people that sexually traffic kids are vicious psychopaths. So, I've heard of horrors, and these 3 million documents certainly have a lot. And I wonder what is contained in the 3 million documents that they're withholding from us.
Yeah.
I think that there would even be more horrors, and probably some type of intelligence intervention, and also blackmail and naming a bunch of perps.
But we haven't seen that part, right? So we know that there's horrific stuff, but they've blacked out or redacted all the names that are actually pertinent. So we know
Yes.
what he did. We just don't know who he did it with. And that's really the problem I think people have. But it's also understandable. It's being released in digestible format, kind of. But before we get into some of the findings, I want to make some things very clear here. There are tip submissions in there which have no justification at all. So these are just outside people making accusations. There are emails that are submitted to the FBI about all kinds of things, very conspiratorial stuff, which I've known all these things, but they're not verified information. And there's also just example. There's like 3 or 4 of them, but a clean example is there's a video of a guy who looks exactly like Epstein torturing a young lady who's naked and sunburned with a magnifying glass. It's a horrific video. I don't advise any of you watch it. It's incredibly demonic. It's bad for your soul. But that video tricked me like 4 years ago. I thought, this is Epstein. Wow, look at this. This is absolutely insane. But that video is a torture porn video, and that's been verified for at least 4 years now. So why would they include these things in these files, Nick? Why do you think that is? So these are clear misdirections. I just want to address that right off the bat.
Well, you've got that, and you've got formatting issues too.
Yeah, tons of them.
So one of the emails said something about a 19-year-old girl, but there was a formatting issue, and it talked about a 9-year-old girl. And obviously, a lot of people on the net went with the 9-year-old, even though there was a formatting issue and they were talking about a 19-year-old. But that said, and those issues that you brought up, there is still a lot of damning, horrific information. Yeah. And one has to be, I said on Twitter the other day, when someone posted that email about the 9-year-old girl, and I said, we have to be careful with these formatting issues too, because that's actually a 19-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And people on Twitter, at least my followers, kind of know that I'm pretty precise, and I generally look before I leave. And so, yeah,
you're one of the few, Nick. Yeah,
we have to be cautious. But on the other hand, there's a lot of stuff in there that's pretty evil. And
Yeah,
I'm
what's
amazed. I'm amazed that it's been released. I've been blowing the whistle on this type of abuse for 23 years.
Mhm.
And initially, people thought I was crazy. It made it very difficult for me to get writing gigs. I don't know how I've been able to make a living as a writer. It's kind of amazing. But I've known about this type of abuse for a long time. And I just had an intuition that it was below the surface with Epstein. And because the government's done such an amazing job, both state and federal government have done such an amazing job of making Epstein look Epstein light. But the stuff that's coming out now, a lot of it's Epstein Dark, which is a very different story.
Yeah, let's go into that. What are let's call it the top 5 things that you've seen in these files right now that are just eye-catching, even to you, who you have been writing about this stuff for 2 decades. I mean, if something's catching your eye and saying that it's dark, that I wanna know.
There is a document about uh, blackmail babies, blackmail market babies. And that is very, very dark. It was from redacted to redacted, and it talked about blackmail or black market babies having something to do with Epstein's Zorro Ranch. Now, I don't know who sent this, and I don't know who received it, but I have heard horrific tales of
Me too.
black market babies. So with that one, I I think that is probably true.
Yeah. It's hard to deny. By the way, the Zorro Ranch won the lottery, $85 million. Epstein won a
Yeah,
lottery
I
for
saw
$85
that.
million.
Whitey Bulger won a lottery too.
I heard
Um,
that too. Yeah. Yeah, it's a totally fair system, Nick. It's definitely not
yeah,
being used for money laundering or for favor or paying off bribes. Yeah, totally not used for that.
and here's a document from Oliver Colomb, who is a relatively big diplomat, and he says, "I like shrimp, but not so much if it's too pink. Although I definitely more like it more than white. I'm definitely these guys. Their grammar is really horrible. So
It's horrible.
I'm
They're
gonna
halfway illiterate, Nick. It's
I mean
crazy.
I'm gonna have to try to. I'm gonna edit these as I read them. I like shrimp, but not so much if it's too pink. Although definitely more than any other color. I like your philosophy. So that's from a diplomat to Jeffrey Epstein. And then
Hmm.
we've got a mention of, and this is from redacted to Jeffrey Epstein. And the key are the 14 or 15-year-old girls. Am I a sexual pervert because I say that they are now at a reproductive age? And this is actually, I think someone tracked down this guy's name. Um,
Really?
yeah, but I can't. I've been through so many documents and I've read so much stuff that I cannot remember his name. Now here's
Come
one
on, Nick.
about.
You haven't gotten through 3 million documents in the last 6 days? Come on, man.
In addition to writing a lot and giving a lot of interviews. Now here's one about. Now this is from Eddie Aragon, and it's about Epstein and Maxwell. Two foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey Epstein and Madame G. Both died in strangulation during rough fetish sex. So that is very, very dark. And it's sent from a proton mail, Eddie Aragon. Um, and there's been the one way that the mainstream media has really failed the Epstein victims is they really haven't shown how vicious traffickers are. Vanity Fair has a quote from a friend of Maxwell's saying Maxwell said that these girls that I traffic, they're nothing, they're trash. They mean nothing. So here is an email that's actually saying that Maxwell and Epstein killed a couple of girls because of asphyxiation, their asphyxiation.
I mean,
And
really
then,
think of how low a human being has to steep to steal someone else's child, use them for money, and then kill them, take their life. I mean, these are really the sickest of sick people in the entire known universe. It's horrific.
and actually,
This topic
they
makes my stomach turn. I'm just gonna let you know, Nick. 'Cause I don't know how you've done this for 23 years.
they run the world. You can't forget
Of
that.
course they do. Yeah, of course they do. And that's nothing new, by the way, Nick. This is thousands of years
Yes.
old.
Yeah. So this is apparently from Peter Mandelson, the British diplomat that lost his job over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and it's from Jeffrey Epstein to Peter Mandelson, and apparently Jeffrey Epstein's saying is, "I loved your torture video." So you've got a very high-ranking diplomat telling a billionaire who is connected on just about every level that he loved the torture video that Mandelson said. And Mandelson, he was given the best education. He's from a fairly affluent family. He was given the best education that you can get in the UK. And I've got some other stuff related to Mandelson and Epstein, where Epstein's putting together an arms deal with the Hood Barak. Your audience can go to epsteinjustice.com, and
Mhm.
I've written two articles about Ehud Barak and Jeffrey Epstein putting together arms deals. And now this is a very strange document.
But before you go into that, Nick, it's important to note that about 3 hours ago on Twitter, Benjamin Netanyahu told us that this has nothing to do with Israel. It was just all about Barack's disgruntled nature of losing an election to him. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Well, I mean, that's obviously the truth. I mean,
Yeah, of
he's
course,
from,
Netanyahu's been known for truth for 30
yeah,
years. Yeah.
I mean, he's a beacon of truth. Okay, so we have an email here, and we don't know who sent it or who it was sent to, but the subject is "Snipe hunt is over. Moon crickets in field," and and then the narrative in the email says, "Guess what? They're a very derogatory name for African Americans." So this email seems to indicate that someone is hunting African Americans. I don't know who it was sent from. I don't know who it was sent to. But what do you think about that? I mean, we've heard of these type of things. I mean, I generally approach things like this pretty agnostically. But what do you think of this email?
Well, so I've been deep in conspiracy theory for a decade, and it's very widely understood that elites do hunt human beings. That's been speculation. Is this proof of it? I certainly can't say that. Neither can you, because it's in encoded language. It's derogatory, number one, towards black people. But at the same time, Nick, this has been these conspiracy theories, which I personally, just my personal opinion, I don't think are theories at all. I think TV shows like Squid Game are disclosure, not fiction. They have found homeless people, drug addicts. They lure them in somewhere, they release them in a field, and they hunt them. Goes back to royal families, 1200, 1500 years ago, who were caught doing this. So I don't anticipate, whatever's in the darkness, Nick, is so well hid by the world that my brain is completely receptive to any dark and demonic thing that happens, because that's just the way the world actually is. And it took me 30 years of my life to open up that part of me to try to understand what's real. So Nick, I actually, you can't prove it with that email, of course. But I believe that practice is very real, because it dates back literally more than 1200 years of documented suspicions.
I have heard these accounts myself, and they're just so dark. I mean, I've been at this for 23 years, and a lot of my cognitive dissonance has been shattered. But these type of accounts, there's a part of me that wants to say, no, this
Sure.
this can't happen. But then there's another part of me that has heard these accounts from various people over the years, and it's horrible. Here's one that says it's from that name is more or less redacted as far as from, and it's to
Yeah, I've
a
noticed the partial redactions where they
yeah.
leave a letter or two open on the email. It's very odd.
And then it says, "Hi, there is nothing that will expire quickly, and all the ingredients will be ready by tomorrow, and we'll get them in the airplane this Friday. Thanks." So nothing that will expire quickly. I mean, you can extrapolate that they're talking about minors there, but again,
Or organs.
yeah, yeah. And here's one about and and if people talk about conspiracies, I mean, if you have two criminals together talking about a crime and committing a crime, that's a conspiracy.
That's right.
But rich people in governments, they don't commit conspiracies. Here's a email from Epstein where he's talking about Zuckerberg, Thiel, and Musk having dinner together, and he's trying to see whether or not he's going to be able to make it. So Peter Thiel is a I mean, I look at Peter Thiel as the Prince of Darkness, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
No, maybe my opinion of him is overkill, but I do look at him as the Prince of Darkness, and
He
he
certainly works for the Prince of Darkness, Nick. That's for certain.
and someone that he finances has really come after me very hard. So, I mean, was this does Peter Thiel just finance this person to do whatever he wants, or I just don't know. But here we have Musk, Zuckerberg, and Thiel coming together, and Epstein trying to figure out if he can make it or not.
Just one of the
Who
boys, Nick. Just one of the boys.
and who knows what those guys will be talking about, because all three of them have been shown to be ethical eunuchs. So I don't know if those three guys meeting together and colluding, I just don't see how it can benefit humanity. I could be completely wrong here.
Yeah, I think that you're on the right path, and I'm in full agreement with that. Ethical eunuchs is my new term. I'm stealing that. I'm using that. I will give you full credit for it, Nick, because I've never heard that before. But we have a world run by ethical eunuchs, and that's what this is proving.
I've used that term a few times in some of my books, so I like to throw it into at least one book. you know,
You got to copyright that. That's one of the more accurate statements I've heard. So he's colluding there, and by the way, I mean the fascinating thing is all this information comes out: human hunting, trafficking, potentially organs on a plane. Because this is for those of you who don't know, and I don't know if you want to cover this or I will, but I literally found Jesus in my life while I was researching this stuff years ago, like studying why do people rape children, like is it a mental disorder? No, it's a spiritual thing. Very much, it's occult practice to steal the innocence of children, to get power from dark forces, demons, earthly power, fame, and riches. And then they sell them over and over and over again for sexual escapades of perverts around the world who are doing the same thing. And when they're too old, quote unquote, around 16, 15, 16 years old, then they kill them and they sell their body parts. That's literally how the human trafficking world works. And through all of this disgusting, horrible thing, the main Twitter thing is that Epstein created Bitcoin, which is not true at all. Obviously, if you've followed anything, he didn't even get in until 2011. But him and Peter Thiel were colluding to suppress it. Do we start the anti-Bitcoin campaign? I mean, but that's the topic. People go right to Bitcoin, like not the dollar, and that's not the topic of how they finance these things. It's what they're doing. Like human trafficking, child trafficking, in specific language, child trafficking is the most horrific thing that happens on planet Earth, and it happens all day, every day. Epstein's not the only Epstein. There are many Epsteins still prowling the earth today, guaranteed.
Absolutely. And when I started to take this information on, when I started to research the Franklin scandal, I knew I was going to have to kick up my spiritual game, because you're going up against a tsunami of evil.
Mhm.
And I came to the conclusion pretty quickly that I could not use the tools of evil for my investigation. I couldn't lie. And I,
100%.
I had to be honest. Because as a journalist before, to get someone's unpublished phone number, I'd call and say I was called like the garbage collector or something. I do kind of surreptitious things to get people's phone numbers. And the irony of it is, with Franklin, I haven't done that since I got into Franklin like 2002. Well, I ended up getting much more information than I ever thought I could have. Being honest, I realized
Funny
that.
how that works, isn't it?
Now, here's one. It's possibly from Ariane de Rothschild. It's to Epstein, and it's talking about how the Rothschilds supported Hitler and how that gave them a lot more power. And a lot of unsavory things have been said about the Rothschilds. I mean, this would probably fit into the behavior of the Rothschilds, but we just don't know.
Well, the Rothschilds have been accused for over a century of human hunting. That is an accusation made against them. I tend to believe it, and there's no proof of that, so I certainly don't say that there's proof of it. But the Rothschild family is the guardians of the papal treasure. That's fact. So World War II, I know everyone thinks that they have it figured out. I thought I did. You keep digging, you'll find out that this was also a gigantic psyop on all levels. It's fascinating. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. And no one would know more than the heiress to the Rothschild family. Just crazy. Keep going, Nick. This is just crazy.
Well, here's a email from, I believe, we don't really know who it's from. It's actually a letter of agreement, and in which the Rothschilds are giving, or the Rothschild group is giving Jeffrey Epstein $25 million. We have no idea what Jeffrey Epstein did for them. And then you get into,
And he said he represents them. That was in many emails. I represent
yeah,
the Rothschild family
yeah.
many times.
But how he represents them, I
We don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to know, but I want to know. You know what I mean?
Yes. And here's a disturbing email, and there's emails like this. It's from Brian Bishop to Epstein, and it's talking about modifying human sperm
Hmm.
and biohacking. And there's other emails about biohacking and editing. And I think that Epstein was really, I think that Epstein was, what I'd heard that Epstein was really into transhumanism and
Eugenics, everything. Yeah.
yeah. And there is a woman that was who I've talked to, victim of Epstein, and she was in the New Mexico ranch, and for some reason she just went unconscious. I don't, probably roofied. I'm not sure, but she said she came to, and there was a female doctor that was harvesting her ovums. So, and the thing about it is, cloning a human is cloning anything is not that difficult. People in New York City, where I live, they clone their French pit bulls, and or their French bulldogs. And I've always thought French bull, I don't know. I always thought French bulldogs were really ugly, but
Me too.
but I have nothing against the French, and I've got nothing against bulldogs. But I think when you
It's a
superimpose the
weird
two,
combo. Yeah.
yeah.
That's an
So
English thing.
so they're talking about cloning, and cloning is actually, you can clone a human being for $1.5 million.
Yep.
Cloning is not, there were the Boys of the Brazil, which is about Hitler being cloned multiple times. But the thing about cloning is you just have to take the DNA out of the ovum, and then you have to give it an electrical charge to start the mitosis process and the cell splitting. Now, sometimes the electrical charge isn't going to work, and sometimes it's going to work. But in the mid 90s, Dolly the sheep was cloned, and then I felt, now, and this was before I got into this very, very dark area. I thought to myself, if they're cloning sheep, there's got to be megalomaniac billionaires out there that are cloning themselves. I mean,
100%.
that was just my intuition, and I think that there's little Jeffrey Epstein clones running around.
And the movie The Island, I believe, was a disclosure as
Yes.
well. I think that's complete disclosure.
Well, the director that made that movie was provided women by Jeffrey Epstein.
Yep.
I can't think of his name. I've read too many documents, and I've given too many podcast interviews to my recall is getting a little faulty. And here's something: Epstein is being invited to Mar-a-Lago in 2012, and we've been
Now,
told.
now that's after he was a convicted pedophile, right? That was
That,
2009,
but
2008 or 9.
2008. But Trump said that he booted Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago in 2003, 2004.
Correct.
So I don't know what to make of it. We don't have the sender, and we don't have the person that received it, but we do have this, where Epstein is being invited to Mar-a-Lago. No idea.
Again, we don't know what that means, but it's suspicious. And all eyes should be on everything. This whole, echo chamber of, it's, people saying, I don't care what comes out, he's going to be vindicated. I don't know. Maybe you and I call balls and strikes. We're not trying to drive an agenda here. It's just looking at the data.
I am not a Republican, and I'm not a Democrat.
Neither am I.
My views are an amalgam of conservative and progressive. In a lot of ways, I embrace conservative values, and other ways I embrace some progressive values. So I haven't voted for a Democrat or Republican for a very long time. When I got into this realm and I saw how polluted our political system was, I just couldn't vote for Republicans or Democrats anymore.
No, because they're both in on it, and we just keep hearing it's a Democrat hoax. It's not a Democrat thing only. There's people of all political spectrums involved in this.
So we've got another email from Brian Bishop to Jeffrey Epstein, and it is talking about designer babies. And Epstein says, I like implant embryo, wait 9 months, great ending. So we have no idea what that's about, but Epstein has got some of these crazy biologists working for him, and
huge names in science.
Yeah,
huge.
huge.
And I'm just going to state this: the guy can't spell, but he's in rooms with some of the smartest scientists in the world. Has them in his pocket. Like, he spells Bitcoin with a space between it. So obviously he created it, BIT space coin. And he can't spell Palantir. Spells it with an E at the end, like Palantir or tier, TIER. He cannot spell. He's grammatically illiterate. Like, these emails that you see from Deepak Chopra, from all these other guys, are written like children, which raises my eyebrows a little bit, considering there's verifiably fake information in these files, verifiably. And then you have these just choppy Gmails and Yahoo accounts. Like, who the spin is, or the truth could be that they feel so untouchable they could use Gmail and send this information. And then the other way to look at it is, well, what kind of idiot would use Gmail to share this information? These are just questions I have in my head constantly.
Well, you know, if Sergey Brin is compromised, Sergey Brin spent some time on Epstein Island. Uh,
Yep.
you know, so, I mean, that goes all the Epstein had connections all the way to the top, just about everything. Um,
Yeah.
and there's an FBI 302 stating that Epstein introduced Melania to Trump. And then there's an FBI document about, and this is a tip, and this is something that we should be kind of cautious of. It's about Jeffrey Epstein worked for the Mossad, and
That's not
there's
true. Benjamin Netanyahu told us that's not true, though. So just move along, Nick.
now I have no. I mean, I've written two blogs about Jeffrey Epstein and who Barack putting arms deals together. So I mean, he definitely worked for them. But
Yes.
this is talking about him blackmailing for the Mossad, which you know is completely probable. But I know that one of these accounts that was written down the person that was giving the information was a charlatan. So and he was talking about Jeffrey Epstein's CIA connections. Now I'm working on an article right now about Jeffrey Epstein's CIA connections, and they're very definitive and they're fairly profuse. But again, the source of that information is dubious, so you just have to be careful. I mean, even though I believe that he's right, I believe that the source is nonetheless dubious.
There's a lot of FBI tips in here,
Yeah.
which some of them are anonymous. We don't know who they came from. Some of them are from people who, and some of them have already been discredited, by the way. Some of them have already been proven to be fake and they're in the file. So I want everyone to keep that in mind. Discernment is key when it comes to stuff like this.
And here's an FBI document from August 11th, 2020, and it's talking about this girl who was making so much money with Epstein. She started at approximately 11 years old that she didn't even go to middle school because Epstein was paying her so well. Now that I mean, I don't have a problem embracing that whatsoever. Let me see. Oh, we're at cloning again. Now, this one's kind of interesting because it talks about cloning and mind control. And the mind control is also rallying others have a strong interest area. Blah, blah, blah. Stage 3. Okay, talks about this is Gino Yu, another scientist. And they're talking about apparently, well, they get into cloning and then they're talking about people being at various stages. And actually they're talking about one of them is showing psychic abilities. Whoever these people are and wherever they came from. And that is something that MK Ultra worked very, very hard on, is
Absolutely.
to hone psychic abilities. And the remote viewing program that was around for many, many years. I think it just went black, but I mean,
They're still doing it. They're saying
yeah,
they're not, but yeah.
Absolutely. So maybe this is a new kind of modality to expand people's extrasensory perception. You know, it's. I mean, we know that it's been done by the
Yes.
CIA. I've got an MK Ultra document about it, about using children and psychics and then giving them electroshock and drugs and hypnosis. And actually inducing dissociative identity disorder to enhance their psychic abilities. So,
Like Stranger Things. Yep.
yeah. So, I mean, as strange as that may sound, it's been a
Doesn't sound
reality.
strange to me at all, Nick, because I've met a remote viewer, and one of the interesting things he said is he saw the cross around my neck, And he said, "You actually can't wear that when you're working." And I said, what does that mean? He goes, "When you're wearing a cross, remote viewing is difficult."
Huh.
Don't know. Don't know what that means, but doesn't sound like it's holy to me to be prying into the ether around people. But yeah, they've been trying to harness psychic abilities for personal power and gain for as long as mankind has understood psychic abilities. That's been happening a long, long time. It wouldn't shock me at all if that was a major focus of what he was trying to do.
And it's called remote viewing, but basically what it is enhancing psychic abilities.
Correct.
It's called remote viewing, so it has kind of a name that doesn't sound too far out there.
Right.
And then there's this email, and it's from Epstein, and he's talking about various tunnels under the island. So we know there had been speculation that there were tunnels underneath the island. And I think it was shot down either by the mainstream media or the government.
Of course it was. Yeah. There's tunnels everywhere. There's tunnels underneath your feet right now. There's a whole subterranean. We have companies that are linked directly to like Ron Lauder, who's the father-in-law of the new Fed chair, of them having companies that literally the entire business is building underground cities. So certainly not mythology if you have a whole company that's doing it.
And here's an email. We don't know who it's from. We don't know who it's to, but it's about Leon Black. Now, Leon Black gave Jeffrey Epstein $160 million because Jeffrey Epstein was helping him with his taxes. So
I got to get into accounting, I guess.
yeah.
That's it.
I mean, Leon Black is a billionaire. He runs Apollo Management, and he has a battalion of accountants. Leon Black probably pays less in taxes than you and me.
He pays zero for sure.
But this email is talking about he was with a black girl that was 7 or 8, and he's biting parts of her vagina, and violence arouses him, and it's very painful to her. And that doesn't really sound like it's too far afield of what we've been talking about.
No.
And this is kind of a strange one.
Monsters.
This is a very strange one. I don't know what to make of this. This is from Epstein to Peter Mandelson. And Epstein says to him, "Can you think of anyone in India, China, Japan, etc., that might want the endorsement of Leonardo DiCaprio, Russian, etc., cars, etc.? He is looking for non-US products to endorse to make some money." And this is what I find. Leonardo DiCaprio, I mean, he's got to be worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. Why is he going to Jeffrey Epstein and saying, "I want foreign endorsements to make more money"? That's a strange document.
Very weird. Have you come across the document yet from I forgot the guy's name, but there's a document from a lawyer who has some tie to, I think, Harvard or something, where the email back and forth was Epstein sending him an email saying, "Does this violate laws to take a minor across nation lines for sexual purposes?" And the lawyer actually gives him advice on this and says, "Here's how you do it. And no, your guys are correct. You can take a minor from one country to another for sexual purposes." It's like, what kind of lawyer? Like, if I'm a lawyer and someone asks me that question, I'm turning them into the FBI. Which won't do any good because they're all in his pocket as well. But you would think there would be some ethical questions that arise from that.
Well, these guys are the upper crust, and the
Mhm.
upper crust is a bunch of crumbs held together by dough.
Yeah.
So, now here's one that is where she was identifying Ghislaine Maxwell as a woman who came to Richard Marcinko's home in Mexico many times in 2010 and 2011 with Nancy Marcinko to set up sexual trips for when she was 10 or 11 years old. We know of death threats against her because of testimony she gave in 2018. So this girl, we don't know who it's from, the email, we don't know who it's sent to, but this girl has identified Ghislaine Maxwell as a perpetrator and a pimp when she was 10 or 11 years old. So, I mean, that's kind of keeping with the
I have a
theme.
12-year-old daughter, Nick, and every time I go through this stuff, which you have to do, guys, like this is just the way the world works. You hear these things, it makes my stomach turn. It just does. But we'll keep going.
And here's one that Epstein seems to be sanctioning a hit. It's from Epstein to someone the name is in Russian. Now, I was told it might be an FSB guy, but I really haven't had the time to really look into it. And this is what Epstein is saying. How are you? I need a favor. There is a Russian girl from Moscow. She is attempting to blackmail a group of powerful businessmen in New York. It is bad for business for everyone involved. She arrived in New York Saturday of last week, staying at the Four Seasons. Suggestions. And there was a Russian model that was affiliated with Epstein that jumped out of a window.
I remember that.
But it's not this one. This is different. And here we get the.
How do you know it's not that one? What makes you confident in saying that?
Because the timelines don't match up.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was looking at the timelines because I thought, I was thinking, but there is another homicide in here or a missing girl that I'm working on solving right now. There's some information that's come out, which is pretty interesting. I mean, that's what I've been really focused on lately. Okay, so here again is Robin Trivers. He's a famous biologist, and he is talking about giving male babies, testosterone or estrogen, and then to make them more feminine, or testosterone blockers, and then taking females and giving them testosterone. And it's about making like a hybrid trans person that's essentially wired for sex. And
to innocent children before they even have a choice in life.
These are ostensibly, babies. There's a Deepak Chopra asking Epstein for younger women. I won't even get into that.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Here's an FBI
Deepak
report.
Chopra, the healer, the doctor, the holy man.
Yes, the holy man. Well, I lived with an Indian guru when I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, I was looking very, very hard for something metaphysical that would give my life meaning. And my first stop was an Indian guru's ashram in Holmesville, Pennsylvania. And the Indian guru had some paranormal skills at the Manager Foundation. At that point, the Manager Foundation was in Topeka, Kansas. Now it's in Texas, but it looks at paranormal abilities. And well, he was at the Manager Foundation. He was able to stop his heart and change the temperature of his body and then produce alpha, beta, gamma brainwaves at will. So he had this huge following of scientific people. But they needed big guys like me to build. So I was assimilated. But we were taught that our beloved guru, was an enlightened being, that he completely transcended any kind of need for anything. And then I was talking to the guru one day, and I could have swore I smelled cigarettes on his breath. And then I went to one of the people at the ashram who I eventually called them the pod people. I went to one of the pods and I said, I could have swore I smelled cigarettes on Swami's breath. That couldn't be, could it? And he goes, well, here's the deal with that. He has to have one vice to keep him tethered to this plane of reality so he can teach us.
Oh my God.
And then I found out that he was having, and he was a Swami, which is a celibate. Then I found out he was having sex with half the girls on the ashram. And then I found out he was embezzling money from his more affluent initiates. And I thought to myself, that guy must be very spiritually evolved. He has to do all that just to stay on this plane of reality.
Yeah, it's all, I mean, the false signs and wonders have been around for a long time, and they're going to accelerate in the coming period with AI and all this other stuff. I've heard many stories just like this, many cult followings. The cult leader is always an enlightened being, a holy man that's committing sin constantly. It is just fascinating to me.
And this is what you were talking about. There's a viral video, it's in the FBI, of Epstein torturing a girl. And I don't think Epstein torturing a girl would be that far afield, but yes, you were
No.
right. It's definitely, I don't know why it's in there. It's a plant, maybe disinformation. I mean, I don't know.
Well, clearly, I mean, like that video has, again, like you said, well, let me state, I fell for that video. I said, this is how, look at this guy. It's a grainy video, totally looks like him, same hair, same build, dressed the same way. And then I just kind of dig through things. I don't just go, oh, there, I saw it. Your eyes deceive you. And that video was debunked 4 years ago. Even the name, which it's demonic. Don't watch it. Do not put this into your eyeballs at all. But it was debunked 4 years ago, and somehow it's in an official FBI file. That should raise eyebrows for people, but it won't. It certainly won't. I see it every day. I probably saw it 5 times today on Twitter. Look at this video, and like I try to go in and go, this is fake, and here's an article that proves it, or what have you. People are going to do what they do.
Well, I saw someone get excoriated because there was a formatting problem.
Yeah.
And it said that the woman was, with the formatting, it looked like she was 9 years old, but actually she was 19 years old. And someone pointed this out, and he was attacked. And I came to his defense. I came to his defense, and I said, he's right. We have to be careful for especially formatting errors.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're everywhere. There's equal signs on everything. Nick, how do these formatting errors occur if they are, screenshots of emails? Like, that's a question I have. What is the technological reason why it would have equal 9 instead of 19? Have you figured that out yet?
I don't know.
Because that's kind of what AI does.
Well, why do some of the documents have 19 and other documents have 9? I mean, right. This is a question. Now, here is Epstein sets up a meeting between future Biden CIA director Bill Burns and Peter Thiel in 2014. Now, we also know that Epstein had been meeting with Burns,
yes,
on at least 3 occasions. So the triumvirate of Epstein, Burns, the CIA director, and Peter Thiel, nothing can come. There's nothing that's good that can come of that. At least, no. in my opinion.
I'll share that opinion with you, Nick.
So now here is, and there's reference to pizza on a number of these emails. And when Pizzagate came around, I started to look into it, and I thought I found the guy that could give me a definitive yay or nay on it. And he opted not to meet with me. So I looked at Pizzagate. I was agnostic about it. Because the other thing is, you've got to find victims. Yeah. These networks have victims, and victims generally come forward one way or another. When I investigated the Franklin scandal, I mean, my first focus was on the victims. When I investigated Epstein, my first focus was on finding victims. So, but there's a lot of allusions to pizza and grape soda. So, and here's something that Epstein says. there are millions of babies, very little good vegetable cream cheese. And then he goes, laughs out loud. I don't know if cream cheese and baby are on the same level. It's okay. There's still enough time today. So I have no idea what that means, but it
Doesn't sound good.
definitely doesn't sound good. This is kind of interesting. Epstein and Eva Dubin are talking about the death, the suicide of Robert Kennedy Jr. or his wife Mary. So Epstein's talking about this with Eva Dubin, who married multi-billionaire Glenn Dubin, and she's talking about Mary committing suicide, and Epstein goes, "Oops." So I have no idea what that means.
Oops.
Oops.
Just evil, right? Like, even if he had nothing to do with it, just that response to someone committing suicide is just evil.
And here we get into references again of food. Let me see here. I can hand off the steaks. Hi, the 3 steaks that were to go on the JE plane. Collect one of the frozen meat section that has the vacuum sealed pack from a well-known vendor. If you have any questions, call. Bring 3 steaks. So I have no idea what that means. But,
what? Vacuum sealed package?
Yeah, I have no idea, man. What that means. And then there's a founder of an orphanage named Susan Hamlin. And she's talking about bringing fresh muffins to the island and asking Epstein if he would like additional steaks. She is the founder of an orphanage. Her name is Susan Hamlin, and she should be singled out.
Absolutely. Muffins and steaks from a founder of an orphanage.
Yes. Now, here's an email from Epstein to an unknown person saying that Robert Maxwell had tried to blackmail the Mossad and they killed him. Ari Ben Menashe has told me that. Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine's father, plundered the retirement pensions of thousands of people that worked for his empire. And he, from what Ari Ben Menashe says, and what this email seems to corroborate, is that he wanted to replenish that money, and he tried to blackmail the Mossad. And I don't think it's a good idea to try to blackmail the Mossad.
No, that's a losing proposition day one.
Now, here's an FBI document that's discussing Epstein's child trafficking, and at the same time, we've got these denials of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino.
Yeah, that's a document I definitely wanted to talk about today.
So what would you like to talk to?
We'll go through the document and what it says. And, these are the two guys who just told us that Epstein is definitely dead. But when is that document dated?
Let me see. Let me pull it up here.
And while you're pulling it up, I want to reiterate one thing, is that when you got into this, you realized you had to have spiritual, moral high ground and going through the truth. And that's true. When you're fighting darkness, you cannot fight darkness with darkness. That is not how spiritual warfare works. And these are two guys that told us on TV 2 different times, 3 for, I think Bongino said it 3 times, that Epstein is definitely dead. He saw the files. Like he's seen it. Nothing to see here. It's we've heard it's a hoax. We've heard all these other things. That's deception also. So Everything in this entire process is deception upon deception. And I don't know that anyone will ever believe any of these people if they actually tell the truth. And that may be the point.
So with this one, it says, now this is I believe it's from a U.S. attorney to the FBI in Miami. And there's a special agent that's, you see, their names are redacted.
Of course.
And this says Jeffrey Epstein was bringing children into the Omni to human sex traffic them out to rich people. If you go to 901 East Carey Street, Suite 210, Richmond, Virginia, 2319, in the South State Bank on the top floor, there is a housekeeping door. I think inside the men's room, once you enter on the right, inside this, you should find a crawl space to the ceiling, a water faucet, and a wall to the right. The wall on the right, behind the actual wall, contains a passageway with the inscription about Gabe, a human trafficking victim that Jeffrey Epstein kept. But I remember as the kids were both brought to this area and trafficked in and out of the premises along with other kids. So the FBI is obviously interviewing someone that has pretty definitive information on this.
That's about as descriptive as you can get.
Yeah. And again, really poor grammar. So I'm trying to make it sound coherent as I read it. I don't have poor grammar, and I want your audience to know that.
No, you're an eloquent writer, actually, Nick, which probably makes reading these difficult for you.
So with a document like this, coming from we don't know who, but CC'd to two special agents at the FBI, with very definitive information. Did Patel or Bongino, did they check this document out? I don't think that they did.
All right.
Patel said that he looked at all the documents and that there was absolutely no human trafficking.
Now, when you see stuff like this, because there are a lot of FBI tips in there, which are unconfirmed and also could be completely psychological operations, right? They could be put in there for misdirection. When you see something as descriptive as go into this room, there's a crawl space to the attic, there's a sink, there's a guy's name, there's a kid's name in there. That's absolutely a tip that should be looked at immediately. Like there should be no wasted time. Somebody should be sent to that location on command immediately. But nothing happened.
And these are came across one today. David Boies represented a number of Epstein victims, and he brought in Stan Ponger. Stan Ponger is a CI asset and a nasty piece of work. He died a year ago, but just a nasty piece of work. And actually, he sodomized according to one of the very damaged Epstein victims, he sodomized her. But the goal, they created the Epstein Victims Compensation Program. And the goal was to make sure there were no depositions, to make sure that the Epstein victims settled with the Victim Compensation Program. That way, there would be no depositions. And if you settled with the Epstein Victims Compensation Program, you had to sign a release that said that you wouldn't go after any of your other perps, which obviously shows, yeah, I mean, that's a conspiracy.
1,000%.
And now, some of these victims were allowed to sue other people, and then there were the class action suits against J.P. Morgan and Deutsche Bank that made these attorneys millions of dollars. So when I saw that Jeffrey Epstein had invited David Boies to breakfast, that kind of got my attention. Now, I don't know.
And he represented the victims,
Yes, yes.
but
And
yet he
then,
was meeting with the perpetrator.
okay, and here's another one that I just recently discovered last month. Stan Pottinger, who represented a number of these victims, he and Epstein were in business together in the early 80s. And at that time, Pottinger was working on arms deals to the Iranians. And people have done some good sleuthing here, but it wasn't Iran Contra. It was the October surprise. It was the Reagan administration and the CIA going to the Iranians and saying, if you hold the Iranians held 52 American hostages at that point and made Jimmy Carter look very weak. And the CIA and the Reagan campaign went to them and to the Iranians and said, if you hold these hostages until Reagan becomes president, we'll sell you arms. And that was the October surprise. And at the same time, so we know that Pottinger is working with the CIA or is CIA and putting together these arms deals. Now he was busted. The FBI actually had him on tape instructing how to avoid user end license and things like that to these Iranian arms dealers. And that paragon of integrity, Rudolph Giuliani, lost the tape.
Oh, oops.
Incriminating Stan Pottinger. So he walked. But at the same time, Jeffrey Epstein was working with Douglas Leese, a big time arms dealer from the UK, and Leese was selling Chinese weapons to the Iranians. So when Pottinger and Epstein were together, I think that they were according to the New York Times, they were pitching tax avoidance strategies. So, and then Stan Pottinger would go on to represent a bunch of Epstein victims, and I'm sure he didn't tell any of those Epstein victims that he and Epstein used to be in business together.
Clear conflict of interest.
Yeah, I mean, just horrific stuff. So that about wraps up.
That's an hour, guys. That's just an hour of some of the top Epstein emails and documents. Doesn't even get into an FBI document claiming that Jared Kushner runs is Trump's handler or.
Okay, so that one, the source on that one is very dubious.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, I would definitely look at that one with a lot of skepticism.
Of course, that and the accusations that are in a spreadsheet that have been removed because they're accusations. Like I'm looking for evidence. Like I think the last thing this world needs is for the universe to be the super sleuths behind this. I just want people to pay a price. I want some justice. I don't know that we'll see it, but you have to have your eyes open. Everything in this could be a complete psyop, or it could all be real. We really don't know, Nick.
Well, the organization that I started, the 501c3 Epstein Justice, I would really urge your audience to check out EpsteinJustice.com. We've talked about it before, but our government is not going to give us justice with this. It's just not going to happen. But how many people are compromising and how many people are compromised? I mean, 10,000? Maybe. I mean,
way more.
15,000, 20,000. Well,
I think this goes all the way down to aldermen in local districts. It is so prevalent and bad.
But there's like 320 million Americans that are adults that could do something about this. Yeah. So we have the numbers. What we need is an independent congressional commission. To put pressure on our federal legislators to make sure that an independent congressional commission is the only way to go here, because what an independent congressional commission incorporates non-government personnel.
Right.
And we're going to need non-government personnel.
Exclusively at this point.
And we can do that. I mean, we have the power to do that. Look at the discharge petition. Trump fought that tooth and nail, but once he realized that it was going to go through the House, then the Senate surrendered. I thought John Thune would probably block it, but he didn't. He's the Senate Majority Leader. So we've got Facebook groups by state. We're populating those Facebook groups, and the goal of those Facebook groups is to put pressure on the legislators. And we've got a picture of every legislator, and we've got Rokana and Thomas Massey have endorsed us, so that's good. It's kind of a slow slog, but I'd never run a 501c3 before, and everybody that's working with us has never worked at a 501c3. I just felt somebody has to do something about this.
Yeah.
We cannot let these people, after writing the Franklin scandal, I mean, my comfort zone is writing. I'm a writer. I've been a professional writer for 35 years, but I felt like this really needed, and we can do this. It's up to us, really, whether our government gets away with this or not. I mean, and I know that there's this dialectic that's been created by politicians in the media where the right thinks the left is mentally ill and the left thinks the right is mentally ill. And then there's the socialization that you can't really do anything. So between, if you superimpose those two trends, it makes people feel like they don't have really
It's demoralizing.
any kind of say, but we do. And this is a horrible, I mean, these documents really show how polluted our government is. And
it's not just government though, Nick. This is Fortune 500 companies, legal
yes,
systems, the scientific community,
the media,
finance at its highest possible levels, bankers. It's atrocious. It's everything. That's the one thing. Like, name one thing that isn't corrupt in some capacity. Faith. That's all I can think of. Not religion, not churches. They're corrupted too because there's an allegation in there. And again, all this stuff, until it's not an allegation, is an allegation. You know, it's just an email. It's a FBI report, whatever it is. It's important to cover them all. But there's another one that it's one of Epstein's decorating assistants said that he told her he lived at the Vatican. It's an allegation. Doesn't mean it's true, but it's just crazy stuff. So how do we do this? How do we create this independent congressional committee?
Come to EpsteinJustice.com. We're going to have our next webinar is on February 24th. It's a Tuesday night. It's at 8 o'clock. And I'm going to be going through these emails, and then I'm going to interview someone who is going to provide some information on Epstein that's pretty damning. And then we'll break down how you can get involved in Epstein Justice. And our last webinar was hacked.
That doesn't surprise me. While we're filming this, Nick's camera cut out once, and it's been fuzzy almost the entire time. I have no doubt that your latest conference call was hacked.
So they took the people that hacked our webinar took complete control of our screen, and they were saying some very bad things. So we had to shut down the webinar, but we've got a new and improved system now. So hopefully we're not going to have to deal with this again.
And that's February 24th.
February 24th, it's Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And I'm going to be going over these emails, and then also I'm going to interview someone that has some pretty revelatory information about the child abuse angle of Epstein. And then we'll go to, and then I'll pass it off to one or two people at Epstein Justice, and I'll tell you how you can get involved and integrated, and what we want to do and how we can do it.
And it's free to go to this thing, right? So you're
absolutely.
Well, good. Everyone should do that. February 24th, go to Epstein Justice. February 24th, I'll be there for sure. I certainly want to hear this information. This is such a tough topic for people, but God tells us to pay attention to what's lovely and beautiful and honorable and admirable, but He also tells us to understand that there is darkness and face it. And we kind of have to go through this exercise. We are dealing with dark forces that are and have been in control of the world forever, literally forever. Nick, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you being here today.
Take care.
February 24th, Epstein Justice. Can't wait to go. Hopefully, you won't get hacked.
And yes, and we're accepting donations too, so that would
Absolutely.
also be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll be contributing to here before that as well, because you guys need the support. There's nobody supporting groups like this. People keep talking about there's influencers that are getting free cups of coffee all day long, but they're not doing anything but Twitter posting. I think if you're gonna donate to people, which I'm not advocating for, it's your money. I don't tell people what to do, but I certainly will contribute to you guys for the work you're doing right now. It paid off. We've already seen some of this stuff.
And we're the only organization that's trying to do this.
Yep.
So I mean, we are going against the wind, but I think where I was at 22, 23 years ago, uncovering stuff like this, and then I wrote the Franklin scandal, and no one bought it. I spent 7 years on the book. I mean, journalistically, I think it's pretty immaculate, and a lot of people have said that over the years. But we couldn't get anybody to buy it. Now it's selling better than it's ever sold, but we initially couldn't. And I went through just major despondency, thinking, put all this time into it, and now what I was writing about is generally accepted.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we have awareness and we have acceptance, and the next stage is action.
Well, I'm going to put you in touch with my friend Jonathan because he wants to actually take the Franklin scandal and turn it into a movie. And I know there's a bunch of people who have approached you for that, but I'm going to make the introduction because you're two great guys, and I think that you should get together and at least have a conversation.
That sounds good.
All right, my friend.
Okay,
Well,
I'll
Nick,
talk to you.
thank you so much for. I love seeing this on here, by the way. Thank you so much for being on here and going through all this stuff. Thank you for all the work you've been doing all this time exposing this stuff. This is literally the worst topic human beings can talk about, but it's a reality. And I just wanted to say, Nick, thank you so much. There's camera cut out again there. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. God bless this country. And we'll see you guys here again next time on the Rice Report. Have a good one, everybody.